everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bobble Pod. We're on episode 30 of this new season, but I don't even think we're doing seasons anymore. We're just doing episode after episode. On this one, we're going to be talking about how can the IT company make or break your business. Ooh, we've had a lot of experience with that in the last 6 to 9 months. And I'm actually glad to say I'm joined by Jamie Marshall from Everon IT, our IT company. So say hi to everyone.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Before we begin, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. So if you're on Spotify, give us a review, like it. I can see loads of downloads happening globally, in the hundreds per week. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. And don't forget to follow me for more behind the scenes, more fun clips on Mr. Bobble Official on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And then follow me as Manpreet Singh or Manny. Mr. Bobble Singh on LinkedIn to get more behind the scenes access and information. So Jamie, how long has everyone been going for? Tell us.
2008 officially started. We were probably a bit more of a jack of all trades back then. So 2016, 2017 is Everon version 2 as we knew it. New and improved. Everon now, so you know it now.
You will have to watch a behind the scenes clip.
I'm not taking part in this one. I'm out.
Good, because I'm not going to get the James and Jamies confused all the way through, as I always do. So you helped found Everon IT.
Yeah.
We met. When did we meet now? Last
Probably
year.
A year ago, yeah.
Yeah, about last year at an event. You introduced to me initially, and we had met at a few network events, and your referral came up because we were at that point. Looking to, and this is why we're talking about this episode, is like, we're in a make or break position with our IT. I couldn't hire because I didn't want to sign new license or any contracts with my current IT company because of the basically shit show I had with them. And I was like, mate, I need a way out. I need a way to run my company efficiently. And they didn't really care, which kind of goes to show, the bigger they are, they don't really care. But you were recommended to me by 4 or 5, and we think we profiled 7 companies, didn't we, Laura? And yours just stood out. Your approach was very similar to us in terms of come in, learn about the company, right? What you're trying to achieve? What are the pain points? Here's how I can help. Put together an actual detailed proposal, and then actually executed on it. Which I want. So a big shout out to you and your team for rescuing Bobble out of the clutches of they who must not be named. For now, we'll go Harry Potter Harry Potter on them for now. Only because there's a legal battle going on. Hey, what turned to illegal? They'll back down if they're smart. So let's get straight into it. James, you've got a few questions for us to talk about this.
I love the way you stuttered just slightly there. We went, James.
Yeah. I was looking at my sheet to make sure who's James. I got a picture, James, and this one's Jamie.
I want to start with a really, it's quite a basic question, but IT, most people probably feel like they understand IT to an extent now. So what is the benefit for a company of, I guess, varying sizes of having someone that looks after their IT? Why are you needed?
So I think you're right. People more than ever understand IT. The way like the cloud has brought things about means that less goes wrong now day to day because most of it's managed externally. I think with the rise of AI, automation, efficiency and that sort of stuff, people understand technology, but don't always understand how it can be applied to a business pain or problem. So whereas you guys understand your process and your people, you might not understand the best fit of technology. So a modern day IT partner like us should be able to align the two basically and help merge them two worlds together.
Okay. Manny, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for us, from a business owner's point of view, is when you start out and you're 1, 2, 3 people, you can manage it yourself. You can get your own Office 365 account. You can manage. We used to manage everything through GoDaddy to give you an idea, and that's why companies like GoDaddy are quite good. I mean, they're not an IT company, but they help you sort out your IT. We then went privately and leased IT companies. We then paid, Microsoft for the extra, like Norton, whatever it was, antivirus or elements. But we realized that actually there was a lot we didn't have. Does that make sense? Because as we started talking to bigger companies, we realized that IT solutions and support just wasn't as capable of coming across as a well-run efficient internal team. So we kind of moved and managed our IT through them. So, you know, an IT company that came in, and we at that point provided the equipment, but they managed essentially it was originally started off as a phone contract because we needed a company number, but then it moved on to IT services. And by the way, we can do all this, etc. So you don't realize how important it is in your company. Anything can go down, emails could turn off. And if I manage it by myself and I got a team of like 6-7 people, that's 6-7 staff unable to earn on an hourly rate, or was able to give value to our clients, 10 calls and something, what do you do? So it's, I say when you set up a company, it's one of the most fundamental parts of your company as you're looking to scale. When you go from 1, 2, max 3 people to actually a team of 5+, you really need to have an IT company, even at a low level, supporting your IT infrastructure. It's just another thing you shouldn't have to think about.
Yeah. I think from my side, well, obviously I agree with all of that. That's why we exist. But I'd say people treat the IT provider like a commodity, like electricity, rent, something they have to pay, like a necessary evil. And the traditional IT, that's how it works. And the companies that are maybe more traditional stick to that method. But as you grow, or as you want to be more forward thinking, and you guys are in a digital industry, and now you're doing stuff that's like the forefront of tech, that's where you need to have a partner you can lean on to do kind of the bigger picture stuff, and not just the nitty gritty, keeping the lights on, as it were, kind of stuff. So I think there's a perception that people need to have as well. Whereas, are you treating it as a commodity and you're having to buy it, in which case you don't see a value in it? It's as cheap as as you can get it. Or is it an actual partner relationship and they're going to help your business grow because they can come sit at a virtual seat around your boardroom or X, Y, and Z and help deliver like meaningful change and put plans into action, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because the bigger companies, they have, you know, a CIO, so chief, you know, information officer, that will have like a C2O and or a CTO or a head of IT, etc. You'll have like IT architects and stuff like that. So be like big companies will have an internal team, but still require external service support. For us, it was more than just we need a phone system and we need, you know, we need 24/7 access. Everything we do as a company is on our devices. Accessing Google, accessing SEMrush, accessing clients' websites, accessing, you know, meta ads. It's all online tools and platforms. Planning and meetings and stuff can be done offline when we're all together, but in a hybrid working world, everything's online. Even when I'm working from a Dubai office and I'm communicating with our team elements, I need to make sure this device is functioning. There's no viruses, it's not being attacked, everything's secure from my client perspective, everything's fully synced, so when a team member updates a document, I can see it, etc., and work in collaboration. That's what you want. But on top of that, it's innovation. It's like, we've got a Bobble Insights tech, which we're talking about, and how do we take that forward, and the Power BI license and elements, what capacity, what's the scalability, and we're going to have more conversations about that. So yeah, it's more than just elements. It's where I would like, you know, digital marketing and advertising to be seen in a company is like, it's a necessity, not a nice to have, because a lot of companies see it nice to have as the economic environment decreases, and then they start to cut back on costs and stuff and it becomes a lot more difficult. But you don't cut back on your IT costs because that's what helps your company function. Yep. Same way, marketing helps your company grow, generate leads, and increase sales.
Okay. This is, that's kind of touching on what I was going to ask next. So I guess what I'm working towards here is kind of going in a bit more detail into the two ends of the scale. So, when it's really good, what does that look like? And then when it's really bad, how bad can it be? But starting on the good bit, I've heard people in the past say that they think a good IT company should never get noticed, that they're just seamlessly running things in the background and you never know that they're there. And then what you were just talking about, which is playing a much more kind of ongoing, quite active role. And maybe it is the difference between quite an active and I guess quite a passive kind of behind the scenes sort of approach to that. So what do you think makes a good IT partner?
So I'd say the scenario you gave me with not been noticed as a good example is probably, in my mind, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that was a perfect thing for that period of time. Where we're at now, and the more this is going to become important in the future when things become more automated, and not even just the technology, but people and the way people want to work. People don't want to work in those traditional mediums. Like you probably like WhatsApp quite a lot. Like traditional IT companies have been unnoticed. You have to ring a help desk, you have to email, you have to do stuff. The new IT partners and the IT partners that are going to thrive in the future are going to adapt to the way that technology is working. You mentioned working from Dubai, being able to work anytime, anywhere, on any device. These are all things that need to be talked about and planned for. So this is where just being unnoticed because you're doing a good job isn't probably enough nowadays. And with the dominance of AI and where we're going in the future, that is going to create a bigger divide between forward-thinking IT partners, what probably traditional, I would call IT partners right now. So I think...
Is lockdown quite a good example of that? Because there were businesses that seamlessly overnight just adjusted, and then there were businesses that were kind of rabbit between the headlights, just did not know how to adjust to what in hindsight should be quite straightforward. It's just rather than work in the office, work from home. It kind of blows my mind now looking back that there were businesses that were not set up and able to do that in an instant.
Yeah, it was the biggest driver of change in my career. Like, as you mentioned, overnight, we had clients that were, we didn't probably refer to it as hybrid back then, but we had clients that did a little bit of remote working and stuff like that. And they were kind of set, they were cloud-based, they weren't really that impacted in that 24, 48-hour period. And then we had others that, again, I'd use the word traditional. We work a lot in the legal sector. They tend to, if we're stereotyping, be more traditional in their approach. The people that will still print out contracts to read them rather than do it on screens. So in terms of like the approach for a few of those, they had no remote working, and it was literally a scramble in that first 48 hours to deliver something they could use. COVID definitely was that like instant overnight change. I think where we're at now with technology is it's a more slower change. Like, so it is happening, but AI is driving it and moving it quicker, but it's not literally like overnight. You leave the office one day and you can't go back the next day.
And are businesses' relationships with people like you, their IT partner, do you feel they're different as a result of COVID? That maybe, we talk about that model of they should be in the background, you shouldn't really notice them, that everyone's kind of gone, actually, that doesn't really work. We need these guys to play like a fairly, not necessarily day-to-day, but not far off, that kind of role within our business moving forward.
I'd say that if you took our client base, I won't name names, we had people that were more traditional and just wanted that hands-off, like, we're doing it, leave us alone kind of stuff. If it's not broken, we don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I think COVID moved everybody up one level. So COVID then turned those people to, right, actually, they can do a little bit more, or we want to do a little bit more. I think there's still companies out there right now that will be more historical or traditional. And especially, like, you probably have to talk about sectors then. So obviously we work a lot in regulated industries. So I already mentioned, if you compare someone in the legal industry to a typical digital marketing agencies, their values or their approach has been massively different. But then you've got like manufacturing and things like that, where they're maybe more chained to older tech because it's a bigger part of what they do. So I think there's probably no one size fits all approach, and it depends on company size and industry.
You're absolutely right. So when I first started working with the accountants that I now use, which was maybe 3 years ago, and they sent me an invoice through the post every month. And when I contacted them and said, it was quite clear that it was an invoice that had been designed on Microsoft Word. So I'm like, instead of printing it and posting it to me every month, why don't you just email it to me? And they're like, oh, we've never done that before. No one's ever asked for that before. And it just blew my mind. And I said, please stop sending me stuff I hate getting posted. It makes me nervous when I walk through the door and there's a letter there. And just what a massive wastage of everything. Like paper. The cost of the postage, the paper, like we're moving on from those times. It just absolutely blew my mind that existed. So what about the other end of the scale? And I know, Manny, you're going to have input on this, because you're definitely going to have thoughts about this. When it goes wrong, how bad can this get?
Bad. I think
we'll just leave it at that.
Obviously, you've got you don't know what you don't know. So if you've got a bad service and you're busy doing your day-to-day, you don't know you're getting a bad service until something goes wrong. So let's say we've had similar instances of this before with onboarded clients where a backup hadn't actually run in over a year. So we'd onboarded that client. They said, oh, everything's fine. Yeah, we're just taking over the backup system. But it hadn't worked in over a year. Luckily, they'd never had an outage and needed to rely on that backup. But you can have these scenarios where people think everything's working, and it's only when the shit hits the fan, as it were, that you go back to rely on these systems that are implemented properly and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, cybersecurity is a massive risk for people now. Yeah. And people can sell you all the software in the world, but if it's not set up properly or you're not managing it properly, it's irrelevant. It's like having the best door lock in the world but not using it. So the problem, I guess, for business owners is how do you know what good service looks like or bad service looks like? If we're just talking about that traditional element, until you need it, you don't actually find out, I guess, is the problem.
Yeah. I guess there has to be an onus on the people in the actual company side as well. They've got to be reviewing it. I mean, it's a two-way relationship. It's like, as an agency, we meet with our clients every 3 to 4 months face to face. You know, we have, bi-weekly, monthly, in some cases, weekly meetings with our clients, depending on the size of the contract, value of the contract in terms of how big they are. Obviously, the bigger the contract, obviously, it's more like a 15-minute, 15-minute to 30-minute, weekly meeting, etc. If you're not getting that constant time and your IT company reviewing your needs individually, then you're not going to know what you need and what you don't need. And that's where things can go bad. And I mean, I know you're going to ask the next question, which is like, experience of it going bad. I mean, we had an issue where our IT services went down. I think, Laura, was it when we had a company day out in June, beginning of June? And I had someone WhatsApp me and a client, a couple of clients messaged me. Well, I had a contact message me and a client messaged me saying, I'm just trying to email you and it says your email doesn't exist. I was like, oh, something's not right. In fairness, picked up the phone, had a look at it. There was something going on. But from that, we were like, okay, what went on? Wanted to know what was the issue was. Got back up, etc. A few hours later. But it was only my client telling me and another business contact telling me that had gone down. I mean, I would expect my IT company to flag this stuff up. It's like if our client side accounts go down, we get a notification to say this ad's been disapproved or, the billing hasn't gone through, so the account's restricted right now until you make a payment. And we're straight on to the client because we get an email notification, stuff like that. You have to be proactive in that sense. It's not waiting until, not knowing that kind of stuff.
It's culture, isn't it? Like, I think you said right at the start in the intro, but like when you spoke to us, we were so aligned.
Yeah.
We'd have that same value. Like, we are going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to make mistakes, but we'll own it, we'll front it. And we'll be open about what happened, why it happened, and how we can mitigate it in the future. I think when you've got a divide between IT provider and business, and they can just put their head in the sand or hide behind it, that's where you get these sort of problems where you're vulnerable. We weren't that bad. I mean, to be honest, for the last few years, the amount of people that changed in the company that were coming in and doing reviews and then things in terms of follow-ups weren't happening, what had become quite frustrating. But the key thing was my systems were working, they were being backed up, and if we needed support, the support team were quite good. The management and the account management client service team was terrible at this IT company, and they've actually known for that reputation. When I started talking to other business owners, man, have you dealt with these people? Like, oh, get out as soon as you can. And they started telling me their horror stories. And then we started reviewing everything. And that's when things started adding up. We were still paying for employees that had left, years ago in terms of their services. And that's when the true nature of the IT company came out. Because then when we said, hang on, we're overpaying, thousands of pounds a year to you guys. We only have X amount of employees. We should have X amount of licenses, X amount of X amount of thingy. Oh yeah, we don't take licenses off. What do you mean you don't take licenses off? I'm on a monthly contract. All my licenses are monthly. Yeah, but this. And then we had in evidence, let's say it was our cyber essentials. And it was very clear that it was a fixed price between 0 to 10 employees. Obviously, we're a team of 7.
and, we were being charged for every time someone come on. We had paid a fee to onboard them onto Cyber Essentials, and then we're charging an extra monthly amount for that individual employee. But then where is this in the original contract? And then what we realize is we're signing these every time a new employee comes on board. We're completing an offboarding process form to say this person needs to go. We assign this user to this. We assign this cloud system to this person, because if we had a new person coming in, or if we didn't need that person, it would come down. And in 2024, we went through a bit of a shake-up, as I've already mentioned in previous episodes, and unfortunately we had to make some redundancies. But we need to streamline it. And then when we looked at it, we're like, why are we paying for all this stuff? Like, why do we have 13 cloud licenses? And unfortunately, you don't really pay attention, because everything's on direct debit, as we get our clients to do in direct debit. But we review our fees with our clients on a regular basis. Yeah. They were just adding things on and not taking things off. And when we queried it, then they started coming up with the most heinous excuses. That's when we were like, we're not signing anything more. But then that's where when it goes bad, it's bad, because it's like, I couldn't hire someone because I didn't want to sign a contract because of their stupid interpretation of elements. And in the end, it led to a better relationship with someone who moved on, because I need to run my company, and these people were actively stopping me from running and growing my company. This original complaint went in July, and they made system changes without actually informing us or updating us, and caused our systems to go down. They caused our systems to go down for half a day. Then apologise for it, but then were forcing us to migrate to a new system, which we never agreed to, or, never informed us of in 6 months' time. I was like, no, I'm paying for this. Now you're meant to move to a new improved product. You're not going to get into that. And it was like, no, this has caused havoc on our systems. How can you expect me in 6 months' time to move over to this until I get an idea what's going on? Yeah. I have clients to service, and then it was just a shit show after that. No, not to be rude, but it was. And on their behalf, and they failed to deal with it. And for half a year, up until end of November, early December, where I was like, nope, we tried to be amicable with this. And I was like, you take over. And then I just was like, no, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to pay you for the services we've used. Very transparent. And they didn't even help with our cloud service. They were meant to migrate the number for a month. For a whole month in January, people couldn't call us.
That's bad.
And we had to use Teams. That's how bad it could have got. Imagine if I lost clients as a result of that poor communication. I it's like, I can't call you guys. That's part of your SLA agreement with me as an element. So they actively put us in breach of our SLAs with some clients where, we say, you can call us and press option 1 and contact straight away. Thankfully, we explain the situation to all our clients. So we're going through an IT cloud migration service. There's going to be disruption. We ask that you call us on our mobile numbers directly. So we had already been smart and put that into place so we wouldn't be, but they just did nothing. Does that make sense? So it can go bad, because you could lose clients, you could lose disruption, especially when you're service-based agency, legal. Something goes wrong, you don't have a backup. It can be very detrimental.
You could lose your business, couldn't you, really?
And who then pays or delivers for that? Does that make sense? So
one of the problems, IT companies aren't regulated. We're not a regulated industry. So anybody can say, I'm now an IT provider, and you're relying on them to give you good advice. Imagine going to a solicitor that wasn't actually registered, passed the bar. It wouldn't happen. But for IT companies, people can go out and do that, and you don't know what's good and what's bad from just an initial meeting, unfortunately.
Yes, I'm a marketing specialist, but at least I have a degree and a master's in marketing, and I've worked for 2 of the reputable agencies in the world as background, and I'm certified within Google, and I've done my elements. It's like someone saying, oh yeah, I ran a business, I know how marketing works, I'm now a marketing agency. So
new and improved marketing specialist. The word backup has been mentioned a couple of times. Let me take you on a little journey down memory lane. When I first started working, it was for, I'll describe it as a media organisation. And we had a network, and at the end of the day, and I can't really remember how this worked, someone had to go and do the backup tape. So this was a physical tape that did a backup of the network. And I'm like, in hindsight, I have no idea how that worked. And the idea should have been that someone should then take that tape off-site. So if anything happened, it would. Anyway, something did happen once, and we lost everything. And then since then, somewhere else where you had a backup drive instead, that then someone would take outside and lock in the boot of one of the pool cars that was in the car park outside. That was the system. And this is, it's not going back that long. I'm probably only going back maybe 15 years that was the system. Obviously now everything is cloud based, and I think everyone just trusts that it's in the cloud, and it's kind of a nonsense phrase, isn't it? It's not floating around up there in reality. Like it's
sorry, mate.
Everyone trusts it, don't they? That's what everyone apart from man.
Well, no, I trust it, but I don't trust it 100%. I trust it at 90%, and I think you should have a 10% caution. So the next thing we're talking about is about having a physical backup,
right?
And
this is what I want to ask about, really, which is what do you think businesses should be doing? Is it all right just to trust that, Google Drive just stores everything, it'll all be fine?
Yeah.
I might get slammed on the internet for this.
We're going to clip.
Would say you're backing up stuff in the cloud. So I'm just Microsoft, so this is my world. Microsoft 365, their T's and C's say you should now back that up externally. So let's say we pick that up and we move it somewhere else. Let's say Microsoft goes off, just literally explodes, however that might happen. Where are we going to put that backup back to? I do see an advantage in having an external backup. Don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. But people will go out and sell you all these expensive backup systems. But if you can't put it back to somewhere, what good is it?
Yeah, you're backing it up to nowhere.
All the data, but if you can't reuse it, what are you going to do? So I think... But
isn't that like an extreme case scenario? Like, that's like if Microsoft full services go down. But isn't the idea of backing up your backup is if the cloud system goes down? Because I'm sure Microsoft have backups of servers to run their systems.
The way that the Microsoft stuff works is really hard to back up one element of it. So the more we talk about collaboration and 365, the more integrated everything is. It's really hard. Emails are probably an easy example that you could back up emails individually, but to take Teams or SharePoint or OneDrive stuff, they're all basically the same platform underneath.
But there's so many
really hard
brands.
To pull stuff out.
Didn't Google just invest $36 billion into, is it WinUp? Is that what it's called?
I'm not sure.
Hey, I know it's a revolutionary because they missed out on it because Microsoft bought, I can't remember who Microsoft bought the previous company these guys had set up, from my knowledge. So they're not new to obviously cloud backup, but they were like, they've now got an integration that allows so many people to kind of like just tap into their services quite well. But it's my brother. My brother's an IT solutions architect. I'll trade into one, but I always call him IT solutions architect. And he's like, yeah, you should definitely have a physical backup no matter what. In worst case scenario.
How are you gonna?
But your question, I totally understand it. And that's the next question I will go to. My brother's like, but how would I back it up if the actual infrastructure to what it's backed up to is down? But I guess for me, perspective is like, if if Google's Word and Google's PowerPoint and Google's Excel sheets work, you can actually convert physical files like that. But from an email perspective, stuff like that, there's some things that could be used straight away in terms of documentation, and you could keep communication through, WhatsApp instead, and you can send documents through WhatsApp. So there are other forms to communicate in that kind of apocalyptic worst case scenario. Microsoft goes down, everyone's doomed. But look at what happened. It started out, when everyone started seeing the blue Microsoft screen.
Yeah, at the airports.
Yeah. And it's not even just that, it just went global.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing a restart. There was an issue.
Yeah.
And wasn't another company that caused
it? Was CrowdStrike, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was their update, and Microsoft code, I think, didn't align, did they? Yeah. And when they rebooted the blue screen.
But it only impacted people that had CrowdStrike. It didn't impact anyone else on the Microsoft platform. Where Microsoft didn't impact us.
No, CrowdStrike are quite enterprise products. Yeah. We use something similar, but more SME related. The problem is, so our philosophy, this isn't just backup now, but of IT and how we should run IT estates is that where we can, we should keep as much Microsoft stuff as we can. So generally, like you mentioned, Microsoft, if they see a good product or a competing product, they'll buy it and they'll absorb it into that Microsoft ecosystem. In our view, the more you're doing that, the easier it is to manage and maintain it. You don't have to rely on third-party integrations and things like that. Backup, Microsoft do offer their own backup now that came out recently. Again, I think with anything like this, or even CrowdStrike, it's up to the IT provider or partner to educate the business owner, right? This is the risk. These are the rewards. But anytime you add like security or backup or complexity, and you can add friction as well. And it's up to us just to educate the business owners or the decision makers. What risk are you willing to live with? What is important, what's not? Where do you want to spend your budget? Where do you want to save it? And then it's up to the business owner with an educated hat on to decide, right, well, this matters to me. So it might be I take all my OneDrive files and I put them on a physical USB stick, but I know that
Have you ever tried doing that? I tried doing a backup of my Google Drive, and it said it was going to take about 2.5 months, and I was like, no.
But what I would like
it's going to take forever.
What I would like is if, let's say, the Wi-Fi goes down or something, and you can't connect. So it's like those kind of scenarios, the more highly likely, but you still need access to something. So it's almost like, your Wi-Fi go down, you need an internet connection to connect to the cloud to be able to access some of the documents that aren't already downloaded onto your device, to be able to sync with everyone else within OneDrive and SharePoint. So that is a problem. And Wi-Fi does go down, especially when people are working from home. Yeah. And in an agency world, we're so flexible, we're so online driven that, you've got clients working from home whilst we're in the office, or we've got everybody working from home, or everyone working from the offices, or people on travel, or I'm just in a cafe, I'm just jumping on, and I do it all the time. It's protecting that element. And also, you don't know, unless you do full transcription, what emails your employees are opening that leads you to cyber attacks that could compromise your devices. So yes, it's good to have an online backup. I think in those kind of scenarios, it's always good to have a physical backup that gets done at the end of the day. So you're only really losing out on a day's worth of work instead of losing out on, 6 and hoping you can recover something that's going to be hit by a cyber security risk or attack or
so we
like
obviously do back up your
I know you guys do it so
to a separate vendor. And you can pull individual bits out. I think the key bit there is education and understanding between the two of us, isn't it? If your problem is that when you go home, you can't access it because of your internet or your Wi-Fi might drop out, then that's where your IT partner can help you with redundant links, 5G connections, whatever it is you might want. A VPN so you can work from a coffee shop. That's the ideal, is that you understand the pain, the root cause, and then you can put the right solution in place. It's hard if you don't have that two-way input to be able to come up with those solutions. Yeah,
and we're still quite new in our relationship because they can, and all fair to, and I highly recommend Everon IT to anyone listening to this, is because, and actually I've even introduced you to a client. That's how impressed I was, and they've onboarded, haven't they?
Yeah.
And thank you for the chocolate.
Sorry, chocolate? What?
Yeah, sorry, mate.
I wasn't involved in this.
The staff even missed out to go on for my nephews and myself, really. And it just goes to show, good suppliers get recommended to every other business. Word of mouth, isn't it? It's word of mouth. Same thing happened to us. Oh, these people are really good. I highly recommend them. And we're finally at a point where we've got stability because, again, this only migration and everything. I'll tell you, full migrations only happened at the end of January.
Yeah.
We're only at the end of March. So we've only had 2 full months of.
I think you called me up and said I want to go live on Monday.
Yeah, I was like, I just need it to happen. And I was like, but we had discussed it for a while.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really out of the blue, but I was like, mate, I'm just going to call you at some random point and be like, execute order 66, essentially. So yeah, but it needed to happen. And I was like, no, mate, this is it got to, and this is why the talk is make or break your business. It got to no, this is going to break my business if I do not act right now. And we had the evidence of it. It's they are holding it. It got to like me getting access to the admin access.
Yeah.
And I even said, oh, we don't give that. I went, it's not yours to keep. It's mine. Look at historical. I gave you access to my 365 account to manage, not to own. I want the admin access to everything right now, and literally right now. And they had to comply with it legally, whether or not. But that's when you knew they were bad and they were trying to hold onto all the assets and elements for what? You're impacting my business. And then that you needed that to be able to go in and create a backup. So at 2 points, we had 2 of everything running.
Yeah.
Of everything running. And then we were like, well, that's your problem now to the old IT company. We tried to amicably work it out with you. Your problem, right? And now we just migrate everything over to a new one and it works and it's more seamless. And now I have a clear breakdown of everything that's going through. So it's good.
I think the point you made about is your system, regardless of whether you want to do something crazy or like good, it's not their choice to withhold that data from you. It belongs to you.
Yeah.
They're just helping you facilitate whatever you want to do. So they should educate you on why you shouldn't do something. They should never be able to say, I can't give you admin credentials.
I think that is the big, we talk about, you were talking about earlier about what does a good IT company look like? What does a good marketing agency look like? Like with us, if a client leaves and I'll say, recently economically, a few clients are cutting back on budgets and restructuring. One of our clients has been bought out by a big entity and the restructuring and everything. It happens. They will have other agencies in place that will take over that contract. Does it suck? Yes. But you benefit from that as well. In the same way you get impacted from it. It's part and parcel of the lifespan of a client elements. But a good agency like us, we do a full handover. We make sure they've got access. When we come in, we make sure they're owners of all the GA4 accounts, the Google Ads accounts and etc. And got full control over everything. Right? So that it's easy for the migration. A bad agency looks like when they own all your assets, like your Google Ads account, and are not giving you your Google Ad account back to you. Your Facebook ad account, they've set it up as it's their asset, which means they've got all the historical knowledge and stuff like that. That's a bad agency. That's an agency with old practices. And I look forward to, with my new tech, making them all redundant, to be honest with you, because there's no space for them in this industry. Same with IT companies like that. There is going to be no space for that, because in the more transparent, lucid world in terms of relationships, what I value is, full transparency. Here's everything you need. Yes, results and innovation are a key element that goes into that. And that's what happens is we have great IT results. We have good innovation. And that's what we're on to now. Yeah. We're at stability, results. Now, from next quarter, we sit down and we catch up. Right, what are we missing? Educators, what else can we do to make sure that we're more secure, make sure that we're there for our new IT product, or our SaaS product, to launch, etc. And that's what makes a good, I can't talk about from an IT perspective, and you can tell me, but it's like when they control your assets, that's the signs of a bad IT company.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That will hold that over you. Client that's not willing to be transparent, it's part of parcel. Sometimes you just got to take the L. You got to take the loss and you move on. But I can talk about how many clients have returned to us as a result of my good exit strategy, leaving on good terms regardless, than haven't. And I guarantee you, I would never go back to that IT company. Even if it was the last IT company on earth, I'd just stop trading as a business. I'd be like, right, well, here's the end of Bobble, right?
Can an IT company help with the noisy maintenance work that's going on in the background?
No.
Could probably design an app to plan there.
I have got 3 more questions that I want to ask, and I'm aware time is not on our side, so these might be a little bit kind of quick fire. At what point should or does a business kind of arrive at a position whereby it should be looking at bringing in someone to look after its IT? So I think we touched on earlier about smaller businesses. Yeah, you can probably do it yourself. There's kind of like off the shelf solutions that are out there. What do you think is the point whereby someone should really be looking at someone external?
I think internal. Sorry.
Bringing in a business. So moving from internal to external.
I'd say at any point.
Okay.
I don't think you need to take everything all at once. But I think even getting an understanding from an independent contractor, company, whatever it might be, is still beneficial.
Okay.
I right now give people, when people aren't necessarily aligned with our service right now, I'll still give people free advice. They can choose to take it or not. The hope is that by the time they get ready for needing an IT provider because they've gone away and used it, I'll be front of the queue.
2 more questions. One important, one very important. So the important one, first of all, what are your tips for what to look for when a business is out there kind of scouring the market, kind of looking for who that right IT partner is?
So I'd say you've got to align culturally. Everything we talked about, communication, education, it's all a cultural thing. It's not a tech thing. And that blends then with, can you gel with the people? If there's a problem, can you get hold of someone? Do you know who you're speaking to? That kind of stuff. And then secondly, I would speak to people either in your local area that use them already, or somebody that you know and you can vouch for them, essentially. Because unless you're super techy and you live it day in, day out, you might not know what good or bad technical advice looks like. So get that advice from somebody who's been there and used them already is what I would say. And I'd caveat that and say, when you get the right IT partner, it's two-way. You need to work with them. It's not a sign the contract, hands off, and we're like transformed. You have to be part of that.
I'll probably add to that is like when we were looking for it, I went out to good business owners, asked for recommendations. LinkedIn is always a good place to start in terms of looking for it, but we profiled 6 or 7 different ones. We had initial catch-ups with a few, and if we felt the vibe, they went on. And then for those that we had a really good vibe with, we actually got them to present, showcased our problems and what we had right now, gave them full transparency, and were able to then give us a realistic cost price. So know what it is you need. Don't just go after one. Compare. If you know someone using the company, ask them. Does that make sense? As you would do with any other supplier or service provider. You know, in terms of, you don't just go to EDF and that's your, energy supply. No, you compare, you know, and that's just basic business practice, I would say.
Okay. So finally, very, very, very important question to ask. You said earlier about you try and keep everything within Microsoft. And when Microsoft see a good business that's out there that's doing something, they'll go out and buy it. How then is Microsoft Teams so utterly, utterly shite?
Are you a Mac user?
I am.
Oh, you use Windows, don't you?
Yeah. I don't have any problem.
I have never used it, and it just works.
Do you know, it's funny, going back to COVID, Teams loaded up automatically on everybody's PC. Prior to COVID, the amount of requests, can you stop this popping up? Can you stop this popping up? Post-COVID or during COVID, when everybody used it, we all did those stupid quizzes and Teams chats and stuff like that. Everybody loved it. And the amount of energy and resource Microsoft put into it from that point forward, it has come on leaps and bounds. I'm pro Teams.
Not on a Mac.
I prefer Teams over Zoom or Google Meets.
Give me Google Meets any day, but
oh God, no.
My I don't know if it's just me, but my Teams is dreadful. That I'll click on a link and then it'll pop up saying you need to sign into your other account, and I'm like, I don't know what my other account is, and then I sign to that, and then it says we need to send a code to your email address. So I wait for it; it doesn't arrive, but the box was actually because they want me to enter my email address to prove that that is my email address to send the code. The code comes, I put it in, they say it's the wrong code, and I just go, this is just horrendous. Awful.
You got an authentication issue or something like that. Talk to Jay.
Yeah, or you're on maybe you've got shared content from different Microsoft accounts.
Yeah,
but you can have a look and help you out.
I've not done that. Yeah. It's done it itself.
It did something at some point.
I hate Teams.
Yeah, I love Teams.
But that's me done.
Yeah.
Got nothing else.
Yeah, is that your other pet peeve?
That's my pet peeve. I'm just going to sit in the background now and just chunt to myself for a couple of minutes while you wrap it up.
But no, it's been really insightful. I would say, it is one of the most critical factors, IT. We've done previous talks about how HR a significant function within the company, and we'll be talking about other elements within the company, as well, and finance and stuff like that. So whoever you bring in can make or break your company and impact the scaling of your company directly. So choose wisely is what I would say. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No. It's really, really good to have you. And anyone who's looking for some advice, reach out to Everon IT. We'll try and put a link. We will put a link on our socials and tag them in. Thanks for coming on, mate. And anyone who's listening, thank you for listening. Hope you found that helpful and useful. We'll catch you in the next episode very, very shortly, every Tuesday, as you already know. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Cheers.